Classical Conversations presents Refining Rhetoric with CEO Robert Bortons, a podcast where faith, business, politics, and classical education meet. Join us as we use the classical tools of rhetoric to seek truth in every arena of life.
Welcome back to another episode of Refining Rhetoric. Today we have a special guest. I just went through his master class. He goes by the name The Art of Purpose on X. His name is Dino. He taught in the public school system for 20 years, had his master's degree, and he got out, realized that wasn't for him, and started creating content, and now helps other people create wonderful social media content to grow your audience. He's going to tell us a little bit about how to do that today, as well as if you want to learn more from him and his wonderful cohorts, how to get started. So without further ado, Dino, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on, buddy. I appreciate you having me in here today.
Yeah, so just give us a little background. Like, you were a public school teacher, you did that. How did you get into the social media space? And what have you learned through that journey?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I started on X. You can go to my account. You see that I started back in May 2020. And we started our account because our classroom got shut down back when COVID was going on. That was like in full swing. So COVID was in full swing. We were like, oh man, what are we going to do? We didn't have a classroom. Everything was getting shut down. So we just decided on a whim to start a social media account to just, hey, we're going to put it out there. We're going to grow. We're just going to see what happens, meet some people, meet some cool people. And it was kind of therapeutic in a way because, everything was shut down in 2020. Everybody, it was all like fear on the news, all that stuff that you were hearing on the news. But we started an account because we just wanted to, do something positive in the world while there's so many negative things going on. And so what we did was we just started on X, or Twitter at the time, and our account grew quickly. Right. So, and along the way, we met a lot of people who were like, hey, what are you doing to grow? What are you doing? What are you doing? So I used my knowledge as a public school teacher instead of like teaching regular classes to teach people how to grow on social media. So we put together courses, we put together guides, and they became so popular that people started to reach out to me being like, hey, why don't you start a community based off of these courses? So that's what we did. And that's what we do today. And that's what we do full time right now.
Yeah, your X handle or your description says, I'm the millionaire educator that's turning X into my personal art gallery. So you went from a teacher, which we know doesn't get paid a whole lot, to being able to monetize X. And that's actually, they've done a lot of cool things under Elon Musk, and you've got the masterclass community. So at what point did you decide to give up teaching in the public school system? And just what are some of the, obviously we had COVID and the shutdowns, but what were some of the things that you were seeing behind the scenes?
I just want to clarify. I was a millionaire before I started the X account.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was through investing. Okay. And side hustles that I did. So I always had like that,
entrepreneurial
spirit and wanted to do those things. So I already had that as a background. I just want to clarify. So when I started on X, I started with that angle as well. I actually used to write about money and personal finance, which is like really kind of funny because we just shared paintings and talked about that. So that's what was going on in my life. And so what we did was we started this account and we started selling on there. So when did I know? So anyway, I started to know when I started to make way more money online than I did as a public school teacher, like way more money. So I released my first course. So, and by the way, I had like no background in this as well. I was just a public school teacher. I just had a lot of people who were fans of our content. And so I created a guide called Create 24/7 and I released it. And in its first month of release, I think I made like $7,000 or something like that. And that was more than I was getting paid as a public school teacher at the time. So sure. I was like, wait a second. So my first online product is making more money than I am as a public school teacher. And I was like, okay, so that's cool. But it's just 1 month. Maybe it's like an outlier. But we consistently did that for like 3 or 4 months in a row. And then I launched my masterclass community. And with that and our course sales, and then from other ways that we had our account monetized, we were making way more money as a public school teacher. And I did that consistently for like 6 months, which then was like, okay, so if I leave public school teaching, I'm going to make a lot more after that as well. So once I was making money consistently above what I was as a public school teacher, that's when I knew it was time to leave.
Yeah, and one of the things that I love about your account is you've used it for good. I mean, you're not just like hawking Ray-Ban sunglasses and trying to get referrals and things like that. You're actually trying to almost move the Overton window of culture by using X. So tell us a little bit about how Christians in particular should really engage in social media and how we should think about using it to engage culture in a positive way.
Right. That's a really great question. So you don't have to go on social media like, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to do all of these things. You can, right? And, I always try to blend my goals. It's like I tweet about whatever I want to tweet about. So like you go to my page and you might be actually surprised. I think there's a lot of businessmen and entrepreneurs that are like afraid to go over like certain subjects. I'm not, because that's what social media is all about. It's a public forum. So like for any of you, you might have a large Christian audience. I think that's great. You might have a lot of people who are listening who are like, well, I'm afraid, or I don't think it's waste my time, or I'm going to stay in like our little churches and just hang out with all of those people. That's great and all. But you have to understand the internet is a public forum. It's the place where everyone else, now this is, I want to put this through people's heads. You may think that you come to a lot of your own conclusions, but a lot of them were on the internet first. And then what happens is it kind of like filters down to regular people at a time. Okay. So what's important is, and this is one of the reasons why I started an X account secretly. Okay. Is I knew deep down that the internet, and especially X and Twitter, is the Thunderdome of where ideas get filtered out to. So I knew it was extremely important to just inject and go in there directly as much as possible. And that's what Christians should be doing. They should be getting in the public forums. They should get in as many public spaces as possible. If you want more people to be a member of your faith or, member of the faith, then you need to get out there, and then you need to start putting yourself out there. And if you're not putting yourself out there, somebody else will. And then other ideas will. And those other ideas are going to be the popular ones.
How does X, because I know a lot of people started on Facebook, like in our generation, and then Instagram's bigger with the younger people. But where does X uniquely come into this cultural conversation that we're having?
Right. So, I get this one often. Well, why not Facebook, right? Oh, if you're living in a Facebook, if you think that Facebook is social media, you don't understand social media. Okay. So here's the difference between Facebook and X. All right. So Facebook only connects you with people that you already know. Okay. Automatically, the way that it's set up, it is completely worthless. Okay. You're getting connected to Aunt Barbara, Aunt Susie, Aunt whatever, people that you already know. You're not meeting any new people. And so basically Facebook is being around that in a never ending Thanksgiving dinner with your family. Okay. Which you may or may not want without the food. Okay. So there's no real upside to any of it. You're not really shaping anybody else's new ideas. You're not meeting any other people. You're not having any real influence into the world. Facebook is zero influence site. Okay. In fact, I call Facebook a limited hangout. It's genius the way that it's set out. Like you're quarantined to a certain zone with people that you already know, and you just basically think you're making progress and think you're changing the world, but you're circular firing ideas all day long. X is the exact opposite. Okay. I meet new people. X is a networking site. Okay. That's what people don't understand. X is a place, and the reason why you can change your life by using this site is because you can meet so many other people. Yesterday, we had Wall Street Silver on, right? He gave us a blueprint and talking about how people were making that you could make 50, 60K per every 2 weeks on X. And he was showing us how he was monetized. Other people were monetizing. We're taking a look at a blueprint and seeing exactly how they were doing it. Getting on a call with a guy like Wall Street Silver, if you're just a regular random person, you don't have access to these people, right? And Wall Street Silver has access to Elon Musk, right? So like the fact that you can have access to access, right? And then you can get in, that's real influence, right? You're not just sitting in your classroom or on Facebook talking to the same people all day long. You're expanding your borders. And then you're going to be able to be inside of other inner circles because of that. And you're going to meet and you're going to be able to influence and shape the ideas of the world because of that.
Yeah, that's the powerful thing. I mean, yeah, it was an awesome call with him. I mean, he has millions of followers on X. He has Elon Musk tweeting him or responding to him. And so unlike Facebook, where you might have a Facebook page of some famous person, like they're not actually looking at that. They have some team of people that's running that. X is primarily, especially these larger accounts, are being run by the people themselves. Is that accurate? Is that a big difference between the two as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that's the other thing is like, I've had billionaires DM me. I've had millionaires DM me. I just got, while we were on this podcast right now, I just got invited to a mastermind in San Diego, like literally just popped up on my, like I get invites to like the craziest things, access to this, access to these great, like it's unbelievable how important it is to know people. Right. So like, why do people really even go to college, for instance? Right? People don't go to college. People don't get business degrees from colleges to learn from a professor who has never built a business in their life. You're just reading from a textbook in college. Okay, get over it. People really go to college because they want to network with individuals. Right? It's all about having that piece of paper, having that prestige, and knowing the right kinds of people. You don't need any of that. You can create your own online personality, and if you build an audience, you are worth more. An audience of 100,000 followers is worth more than a college degree. I should tweet that out, by the way. Right? It is. It is.
And that's the great thing is you don't need a college degree. You don't need to go hundreds of $1,000s into debt. You can start with 0 followers on X today, create an account and start, interacting and start building your audience and start building that influence. So tell us a little bit, if someone's starting on X or, maybe they've been X, what's the difference between a content creator on X and a content consumer? And how does the X algorithm treat both of those? And why is it so important to be a creator?
Well, if you're just on X all day consuming content, doom scrolling, and just checking out the same things every single day, you're not really making any progress. Like in a kind of way, you are what you eat, right? You are the type of content that you consume. You are the thoughts that you let in your mind in a way, right? So you have to be really conscious and careful of like what you're consuming. So one of the reasons why I just got on X was because I wanted to get off of what was going on in the regular world. So for instance, during COVID, you had all these, the fear mongers, everything on the news is what? What is news? Fear, hate. It's just repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again, just to get people to divide up against each other. So when you go on X, you basically create your own world, right? And what I mean by this is you can choose who you're following. You can choose what you want to see. You can mute certain people. You can engage with the right kinds of people. You can use it to do whatever you want to do. It like magnifies all of your strengths in a way. So that's what social media is about. If you're somebody who's just on X and you're just consuming, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think, we need consumers on X, right? And I spent years consuming on X, but at some point, right, you need to take that leap, right? Like, what are you doing with all of the stuff that you're consuming? I only consume information for one purpose, to then turn it into something at some point. Okay, that's the only reason why you should consume anything, right? You're going to do something with it. So and we don't think about this when we come in with information, right? Information is the same thing. So I don't watch movies, right? I know I tweet this out and like I sound hard when I tweet it, but I really don't watch movies. I don't watch Netflix. We don't have any Disney kind of Plus in our household or anything. I don't watch any of this stuff because it's a waste of my time. The only reason why I consume something is so that I can intentionally do something with it in the future. So you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then so if I were, like going to a movie theater and sitting down and watching a movie for 3 hours, unless I was like a movie reviewer or something like that, then I really wouldn't see any point to it. Right. Cause it's just, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think, as an athlete, we eat to fuel our bodies because we want an outcome. And like in weightlifting, if you want to be healthy, I mean, weightlifting is great, but that's only 20 to 30% of the combination. It's what you put into your body that gives you success. For like us at Classical Conversations, that's why we have such a curated curriculum that's looked at the last 3,000 years of what are the best thoughts that have stood the test of time, proven that they produce, good outcomes, or even look at some of those that have produced bad outcomes, analyze those, compare them, and then use that to form our life. Because, if you're just consuming junk food, junk TV, junk social media, It's no
Mhm.
surprise that we have depression levels so high. We have obesity levels that are so high. We got divorce rates that are so high. It's because if you're not intentional with the decisions that you make, you're going to have those results. And if you don't know where you're going, you're always going to get there. And so many people, like you said, just society says consume, consume, consume. That's how we build our GDP. That's how we become debt slaves. And you're saying, don't do that.
I'm saying, not like, maybe not like, don't do that. I'm saying that just be conscious of what you're consuming. So every man needs to have a purpose, right? That's like the theme behind our account. When I defined my purpose in life, I became so much more successful. And what I mean by this is when you actually have a purpose and when you actually know what you're here to do, you're going to consume far more intentionally as well. Like the two kind of go hand in hand. So let me give you a for instance. I think every man should take a piece of paper and a pencil and they should write down what their mission statement is in life. If you're a man and you don't have a mission statement in life, if you don't really have a purpose in life, somebody else is going to define it for you, or you're just going to just be like one of those floating bags, like, just moving along, just floating along like Forrest Gump and just blah, blah, blah. Okay. You need to sit down and define who you are, right? So sit down and define who you are, write a mission statement. And then from there, you're actually going to notice that the way that you consume is going to be a little bit different as well. What you're going to notice is that you're going to start putting everything to that lens of what your mission statement was. So, like, let's say that you're like, hey, I'm going to be a father. I'm going to be the best father to my 3 kids. I'm going to build my own business. I'm going to do whatever X, Y, Z. It can be whatever your own purpose is. So then when your buddies call you up on Friday night and they're like, hey, let's go get blackout drunk, you're going to be like, hey, I don't have time for that, man. I'm working on this. I'm building this. I'm doing this thing. You are going to be more critical of what you're going to allow into your life because of that. Okay. And you're going to be looking at things through that particular lens. Most of the time is people don't have a purpose. Their purpose is defined by either their jobs or their society or their friends. Even worse, you usually got it by watching TV or something like that. And they don't really have any purpose or soul or any intention behind what they do. And that's one of the reasons why you see divorce rates so high. This is one of the reasons why you see, so many men like tuning out. Like I've shared statistics where it's like 50-60% of men haven't like in their 20s haven't even like been on a date in the past year. It's ridiculous, right? So yeah, it's absurd. So what is going on is these guys don't have a purpose. They don't have any meaning in their life. They don't really know what they're doing in life. It's either been defined by somebody else or even worse, defined by the government or by society. And they need to sit down, be men and define who they are.
Yeah, we ask our homeschool parents or encourage them to do that same thing, is write a mission statement for your homeschooling, because if you're going to have bad days, you're going to have hard days, you're going to have decisions, are you going to do X or Z, and how are you going to have a lens to make those decisions? And if you don't have a purpose, you're not going to know what decision to make. And so you're just going to float through life at whatever direction the wind blows. As you created your Art of Purpose account and you created your mission statement, like what are some key things that people should think through, especially if they've had that consumer mindset where they haven't really thought through these things and they maybe are more, motivated, or, they've been watching too much TV, they've been eating too much junk food. They don't have a framework to start from. So what are some of the things people should think about as they work on their mission statement?
It really isn't as hard as you think. It's not really difficult. Okay. I'm going to assume most of this audience is religious. That's real simple. Just take pray. First thing you do, pray. Okay. Say a prayer, ask for God to lead you in your intentions. Sit down, take a blank piece of paper, clear your mind, and start writing. Okay. It does not have to be perfect. I think some people are like, oh, well, it's got to have like this. No, you can always rewrite it. Write it with a pencil. Okay. All right. You can use your eraser. And then what you could do is just take a look at it a week or two later. Maybe it's changed a little bit. You can rewrite it a little bit. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that you need to sit down and define who you are. Your words have power. And then what's going to happen is you're going to gravitate more and more and more and more and more towards that direction that you put down on that piece of paper.
Absolutely. So as I went through this class, I noticed a lot of the classical model that we teach at Classical Conversations to our families is integrated into some of these ideas that you tell us. And so one of the things that really resonated with me was, if you have a tweet and it goes well, go rewrite it 3 times. And that's something that we teach our students is even like, part of the reason that we model these historical minds that are so have been so successful in shaping Western culture is, we'll tell them like, read this paragraph and rewrite it, and then rewrite it again. And so to make it your own, because we're modeling that, and we do that in Latin, foreign language is a big way that we do that in our curriculum. So talk about like some of these tools that people can access if they get one of your courses or join the master class. Like, how did you come up with these ideas on how to write tweets and how to rewrite tweets?
Your content is your life, right? So your first step is you need to become more aware of what's going on in your life, and you just need to be able to express it. Like, so for instance, I have a tweet going viral right now that I wrote while I was on your podcast. Okay. Like, it's blowing up right now. And so you just have to be paying attention. There's content everywhere. And a lot of people that they start and they go, where am I going to find ideas? This shows like a real problem with you if you don't know where to get ideas from. There are millions of ideas. They're all right in front of your face. Okay. There's probably 100 different tweets that you can come up with that have been on this show. Like, what's your favorite quote? Do you agree or disagree with what you've been listening to? So how are you engaging? Like, even if you're listening to this right now, right? Are you engaging with this, or are you just passively listening to it? I don't passively listen to anything. Whenever I'm listening to something, because my time's valuable, right? I am always engaged with it. So like, while I was listening to this, I'd be like, do I agree or disagree with it? Did I hear something great? I write it down. Right. And because I'm actively participating in things instead of passively, that allows me to see content at a much higher level. So I could take this show that I'm on today, and I could probably find days worth of memes, or I can make a meme out of it. I can make a question out of it. I can make tweets out of it. I can make a thread out of it. There's content everywhere. Okay. So for instance, like in our communities, that's really the soul behind everything that we do, right? We our course is called Create 24/7, right? Like, you are always in the mode of content creation. Like, we train you, we teach you how to be in that mindset all of the time. It should never turn off, right? And when you're inside of our communities, yes, you do get access to tools. There are so many tools and resources, and like the expert tools that we have inside of there. Like, you get a free month of Tweet Hunter, you get a free month of Tweemex, you get a free month of Cast Magic, you get a free month of all of the resources and goodies that we have. Okay, that's great and all, but that's just like icing on the cake, because you really need to know how to use the tools, right? And that's what we really focus on more than anything, is when you have an active community. So our masterclass community, we're always talking about what works in real time as things are going on. So yesterday we did a call with Wall Street Silver, and then he was talking about how these guys were making 20, 30, 40K every 2 weeks with their X accounts. And then he showed us exactly how they did it. Like, this is what they do. They do this, they schedule like this, they find tweets. He even showed us where they find tweets from and are able to like constantly, this is where they come from. So the more you learn about what's going on, the more you're going to be able to be aware of what's going on, and you're going to be able to put that inside of your creative process. So it's one of the reasons why a mastermind community is so important. I want to talk about, I don't like Mr. Beast. Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on your Twitter.
His content's boring, but he has a great quote. Okay. Like, I respect what he does. Like, I don't enjoy his content. It's just weird. Okay. But his content was created in a way that, it makes a lot of sense. I can see why he's successful. So for instance, he talked about in his early stages on YouTube, he had a circle of friends of like 10, 12 people that would meet every single day, and they would talk about what's working, what's not working, and what is going on, what are the trends on YouTube. And because of that, he was able to stay ahead of the curve of everyone else. So that's what the backbone behind our mastermind, which is masterclass community, is. We're always talking about what's working. We have the hottest guests on there. We have people who are most up to date with what's going on and in tune with what's going on in the social media world. Because if you're somebody who's like, I don't know what to do, I'm starting on X and I don't know what to do. I know I want to have a big account. I know one day I'd like to make money online. That's where you should go first, is into our community, because it's all of the people who are up to date and current and are talking about all of the newest and trends. And then you're just gonna be like, oh, I don't have to figure that out on my own. Like, I already know what it is. Like, I know what it is. I know what's doing. I know what the most successful accounts are doing. It's like being inside of Mr. Beast's inner circle.
Hey everyone, I want to briefly interrupt this program to tell you about one of our newest Copper Lodge Library releases, Pride and Prejudice. It is a resource that our families read in the Challenge program. Our Classical Conversations multimedia company has produced this new Copper Lodge edition of this beloved, beautiful book that so many of us love and enjoy. Me not being one of those as a teenage male, not my favorite one that my mom required me to read, but as an adult, I definitely appreciate the story much more. And it's a beloved classic novel. And the wonderful thing about the Copper Lodge Library books is it has footnotes that include, definitions, pronunciations, historical context, and really just helps bring the story to life, as well as wide margins so that students can take notes and really have that conversation with the author. And I bet I would have enjoyed these books much more as a teenage male had I had these details provided for me in the books that I was reading. So students will be discussing Pride and Prejudice inside of our Classical Conversations communities. And of course, for those who might not be in CC, it's a wonderful book that you should include in every curriculum. So you can learn more about the Copper Lodge Library series at copperlodgelibrary.com and go to classicalconversationsbooks.com to purchase one today. Now back to the show. Yeah, I mean, the power of community, we know that very well at Classical Conversations. That's why we have groups that meet together once a week to talk about education with their children. One of the cool things I heard on that Wall Street Silver account was that his wife, who's a stay-at-home mom, I assume, based on the conversation, actually just does a lot of replies for him during the day to some big accounts, and how, she could even be a stay-at-home mom involved in his business, helping him out. So we do have a lot of business owners listening. I mean, if your wife's staying at home and she wants to be involved in the business, having an X account and being a reply person or reply guy, as we like to call it, an X, is a way for them to help grow your business and help them be involved and just be part of that. So
I don't know if you caught this because he made it really subtle, is that his daughter also has an account. Right. So part of what she's doing is she's learning how to build a business online as well. So she has an account. His wife helps out with his business and runs part of his account. And so their whole family is part of this. So a lot of people, they'll come to me and be like, AOP, how do you find time to do all of this stuff? It's really easy. My life revolves around this. This is our business. And it's you never so what's the benefit, right? It's you never really have to go to work. Okay. You're the boss. You call all the shots. I can sit in my jammies, write up a couple tweets, boom, hit publish, and just spend the rest of the day out by the pool if I wanted to. Okay. And just watch the money roll in, or watch this subscribers come in, or watch whatever. That's the power of having an internet business, is that you reap all of the benefits of your work. Okay. That's the real benefit of it. So I love what Wall Street Silver was doing, is not only his wife in on the business, but he has his daughter training and learning how to build on social media as well, which I think is great, right? It's actually I have a master's degree in education. There's Suzuki method, right? Which is a way of learning how to play an instrument. And one of the ways that you do that is that the parents actually take the class along with the kids. Okay. And so they can go home and they learn and they all play together. Okay. Which is a really cool thing. But that's kind of the way that Wall Street Silver is doing. He's doing the Suzuki method for social media.
Well, yeah. And we talk about being, intentional with our education and intentional in our children, being someone who's a social media influencer for good, or understanding how those tools work. So instead of, you see all these issues with, kids being bullied and those type of things on social media, that doesn't have to be the case, because on X, you could start an account when you're, 16 or 14 or, whatever age they have as the limits. You could teach them how to use it, start building their branding, start building their following, and really that would set them up for life. And who has more time to learn those things than our young people, and doing it in a intentional manner. And so I know that, not only can business owners pass on that to their kids, because we have, like I said, a lot of homeschoolers are entrepreneurs, but this is a great way of getting your whole family involved in your business. Even if they don't know exactly what you do, you can teach them how to magnify and how to get online and to grow it.
Let's talk about I want to talk about the biggest benefit about building online. Okay. Because there's a lot of misconceptions. And I think a lot of older heads out there are oh, you're going to build on social media. All those kids want to be YouTube stars. That's so stupid. No, it's actually really brilliant, actually. And the kids are just they're smarter than you because they're better in tune with what's going on in the world. Let me tell you, some of the big benefits about building a social media audience aren't just from having the numbers and, talking about the money and stuff like that. You can talk all about that, but there's one of the biggest benefits is it changes the way who you are. Okay. It changes the way your brain operates. It changes the way you act, and it makes you a more in tune person with what's going on in the world. For instance, everyone who goes on X needs to learn how to be a writer. Okay. Like,
Right.
you've seen that, you're in our community. We work with you. You're like, do this, do that. Right. And it's like, you need to become a better writer. What does it entail? What do you need to happen to become a better writer? One, you need to become a better thinker. You need to be a clearer thinker. You need to be able to express yourself. You need to be able to put it out all into words. All of this makes you a smarter, a more engaged person. So really, one of the best ways to practice writing is to put it out. What better way to practice writing, right? You can sit there with a piece of paper and just like write in your room, dear diary, whatever, right? Nobody sees it. Or you can take that same content that you're putting there, put it out into the world, and then you're going to wind up getting feedback from the world because of that. And that's what's really cool. And now that's going to be able to now you're going to be able to understand what makes people tick. What do people like? What do people are enjoying? They really like this one particular story. Maybe I can hone in on that. Maybe I can create a course or a product that solves this XYZ particular problem, because now I know people are struggling with this particular issue. So the benefits of having an audience are not just from a financial perspective, but it makes you a clearer, better thinker, one that's more engaged with the world.
Yeah, I've noticed that myself. One of the things that was kind of on my to-do list this year is be more intentional with my life. Like, I'm very intentional in the business. I've got processes, I've got, all sorts of things that I do. And then I get home and it's just like, I've been unintentional. And, I do a lot with my kids. I do a lot with my family. So I'm not just, doing dumb things. But I realize that I could be spending that time more wisely. And yeah, for me, I'm a terrible writer. I'm an engineer, and and I didn't really care about misspellings and grammar that much, even though, for me personally, when I'm like on social media, because I'm just trying to get my message out there, but I realized that was a bad thing for my brand, that was not helpful for the community that I'm building around the world. And so instead of firing off a tweet, now I kind of journal it. I got a notebook in my phone. I just go write my tweet, and then I can go review it later, edit it, rewrite it, think about what I'm really trying to say, and communicate more clearly. And so it has forced me to become a clearer thinker and a better writer, all of those things that you were saying, because as I, build a brand and build a following on X, and, I do a little bit on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram as well, because, you kind of got to be everywhere sometimes. But X is so great because, it's almost like you're getting immediate feedback. You can get it from people you don't know. If someone really enjoys it, they can retweet it to their audience, which you're not getting on these other platforms. And so it really gives you an opportunity to force yourself, like you said, to think better. And I just know that one of the biggest issues I see, because I work with a lot of small and medium-sized businesses as well on the side, and just through a lot of the work that I do, is just like getting your message out there is the biggest problem most of these businesses have. They have a good product, they have good ideas, but they have no idea about marketing. So tell us how, as you've seen it, like, I always say, you always got to be selling. You always got to be marketing yourself. Do you agree with that?
Yes. Life is sales. Life is sales. Life is sales. Get over it. It's one of the reasons why a lot of young men are checked out, because they don't want to sell themselves. They don't want to sell themselves.
They don't know how to, right? They swipe right on an app. They don't.
Yeah.
You don't know how to talk to girls in bars anymore. I'm not saying that that's where Christians should go find find good people. But I'm just saying.
Yeah, you can talk to anyone. You have everything in your life is selling. You're always selling yourself, right? So you have two options, really. You're going to go into your room and become an incel and lock the door, right? Or you're going to put yourself out there and create and do something. So everything in life is selling. So I don't really get, I always sell. Okay. Now I always bring the heat and I bring as much value to every podcast, every spaces that I do. I'm always doing it. But also at the same time, I have no problem asking people to buy or to do X, Y, Z. I don't think you should ever feel reserved about it. Okay. And part of the thing that I noticed that when I was building online, so I got to like, I don't know, like 20,000 followers pretty quickly. And so what I did was I built an email list and I got to 1,000 email subscribers really quickly. And my first few emails that I sent out, they were like, oh, no ask, no anything involved. It was just, just a really chill email with just value. And like my first email I sent out and I have an ask in it. And then like I had a whole bunch of people unsubscribe because of it. And I was like, they were never going to buy anyway. So like, who cares? What was the point? Like email lists cost money, right? Like it costs money to have an email list. And if these people were never going to buy in the first place, what was the point of ever having them on? And I'm not saying that all of my followers like need to buy something, but I'm saying that if you're asking, they should at least be comfortable with me having an ask. Okay. And so I ask all the time, right? Give value, give value, give value, give value, and ask. And I think more men need to shoot their shots. The more shots you take, it's one thing that I've learned on social media. The more, it's like the Wayne Gretzky the Wayne Gretzky quote, right? The more shots you take, the more goals you're going to score, right? And that is just a way in life. You need to be shooting your shot every single day. I'm going to guarantee right now, if you're listening, you need to 10 times the output of how many shots you're taking. Okay? Just get comfortable with taking shots all the time.
So one of the things young people have issues with is resiliency. I think that's why bullying has gotten so big. You look at like social media, or you get a lot of haters, and an account you're big.
I get haters all the time. I think one of the things that prepared me well though is I used to teach middle school. Okay. Oh. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, I heard everything, man. Okay. So like when I go online, I can hear everything. You have to develop, like, look, if you're worried about what like some dude in somewhere else, it's just, you can just block them. Okay. There's no hold up about it. Just block them and move on with your day. You can't worry about what every single person thinks about you. Right. That's not like you got to worry about what the right people think about you. Right.
Yeah, I know Kobe Bryant said it's good to have haters. Average players don't have haters. And I think that's, you don't want to put out stuff just to make people hate you. But I noticed that, like, as I've gotten accustomed to it, like, I actually like it when someone retweets my stuff and disagrees with me and has a completely different worldview, because they're actually spreading my message. I've noticed that a lot with like, obviously we got presidential debates and big election. And a lot of times, like, you see the opposition retweeting the other people's talking points. And like, I can't believe they said this. And you're like, you're actually advertising for free.
Yeah. That's what people don't get. That's what people so like, I just have a rule. It's like, you can have there's a lot of left-wing accounts that will retweet me or something like that, whatever, but what happens is that even though they may have an audience that's all filtered in and all thinking the same way, if they retweet me, 10% of their audience will like silently agree with me, right? There's always a percentage of their audience that's going to be like, oh, and then they'll click on your profile and then they'll give you a follow and now you've made a fan, right? So you always need to think about it. It's like, it's okay if people disagree. We got into like this whole thing in society where it's like you're not allowed to disagree with people. Like everybody's like in like two camps, or like there's like two columns. I think that's terrible. I think one of the benefits of social media is that we're able to have discussions these days. Like, for instance, like, back when I grew up in the 80s, right? People would have conversations with each other all the time. Like, there were people that like...
You had to.
Yeah, on the East Coast, like, people would just be on the street corner, like, talking, having a good time. Like, people used to have conversations with each other in public. Can you believe this? Like, they don't do that these days. They retreat into their suburb house or whatever their house. They close the doors and they just, like, watch Netflix or something like that instead of talking with each other, right? But this is one of the things that social media has done, is it's become like that new square, or like the corner or the street corner. Now it's where the people are going to discuss issues. But what's happening is everybody's like autistic attitudes where it's like, oh, we have to agree with every little thing. I talk to people who disagree with me all the time. And I think that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation with somebody on the other side of the aisle. How you ever think that you're going to convince them to think your way? And I think we've gotten in this like toxic mindset where it's like, there's this side and this side. I don't talk to the other side. I don't talk to non-Christians. I don't talk to any left-wingers. I don't talk to any of this thing. And it's like absolutely absurd. And if you're supposed to, if you look in the Gospels, right, it tells you you are given a mandate to go spread the word, right? You are given a mandate to talk with other people, and so many people ignore that one particular part. And so, what better place to do it on social media when you have people who are coming from all diverse and different backgrounds and different religions and different mindsets?
Yeah, and I heard one person say, Jesus said, "You'll do more than I am." And, social media is actually a way where we can, talk to more people than Jesus was physically able to talk to, because if you get a viral tweet going on, you can reach 1 million people with the gospel or, with a biblical worldview idea. And so it is a tremendous opportunity and something that shouldn't be ignored. One of the things that we hear all the time is like clickbait headlines. And of course, you go to the news sites now and you can't actually, learn the news without clicking on a link and subscribing and scrolling down and all of those things. But like, what are some of the things that people learn through your class and through that community about how do you write compelling content that people do want to engage with? Like, what are some?
First of all, not just from a content perspective, what you're going to learn in our community is you're going to learn how to get your first 10,000 followers in the quickest way possible. Okay. You may be at like 300-400 followers, or you may have never written a tweet in your life. That's okay. Because when I started on X, I never wrote a tweet in your life. But what you're going to do is you're going to receive we have a straight blueprint that every single one of our subscribers gets a blueprint. This is how you start from day zero, right? You put this together, you do this, and you can, even if you're a veteran, you're going to learn something from it. But like, it's like the ideal setup. This is what you should be doing by month 2. This is what you should be doing by month 6. This is what you're going to be doing by your first year. This is when you know that you can actually leave your job for social media, right? All the way through, just step-by-step progression on exactly what to do. There is like no guesswork on this. Okay. So if you're wanting to know how to get those 10,000, or if you want to know how to put together your first offer and sell it to the timeline, make your first internet dollar, this is the place to go. Now, as far as like when content goes, this is the biggest mistake. I don't really want to talk too much about this because, and we talked about this with Wall Street Silver yesterday. Yeah, there is ways for me to write something and people can engage with it. Okay. But if you're brand new on social media, that's not what you should be focusing on at all. Okay. And I know this is counterintuitive to a lot of people. It's like, oh, I thought I had to write like this unbelievable thread or something like that. I have people come to me and they're like, AOP, I spent like 4 hours writing this thread. Nobody retweeted it. Nobody liked it. Nobody did it. Yeah, because you have 20 followers. Nobody sees your tweets when you tweet, right? So what are you doing to be seen? So that's where we all emphasize for those initial people. It's like, you need to learn how to network. You need to know how to talk. You need to know how to make friends on the platform first. And then once you get that going, then you can focus on content. And those people that you've made connections with, those are the people who are going to organically engage with your tweets. And that's the backbone and the foundation for your audience so that you can grow and then start moving into other circles as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for us as creators, and something I always try to get across to our team members is, the algorithm picks up things that looks like people are liking and engaging with because they want people to spend time with it. And so, ask a good question, post a funny meme, say why you disagree or say why you agree, but in those replies, and do it with people who you want to see amplified, people who you want to have their message get out there. And that's like always a big frustrating thing for me in our business. And I'm sure other business owners as well is, you have these fans, you have these clients that buy from you regularly in real life. And one of the biggest, easiest things that they can do is go, give you 5 stars on Google, leave you a review. When you have a social media post, like it or comment on it, retweet it, share it with a friend, that you can actually help people that you want to see influence the world grow just by interacting with their content on social media. And on the same thing as a content creator, if I see someone who is regularly interacting with me, then I'm grateful for them in some sense because I know that they're helping the algorithm pick me up. And I'm more likely to start engaging with them and interacting them, especially if it's, positive, reinforcements. I don't expect any left-wing accounts to start following me anytime soon. But it's just an opportunity to, you can be a creator, but also help those brands or those ideas get more views simply by interacting with their content.
Right. That's how social media works. Right. So a lot of people think like, well, let's say that you're a small content creator, but I give you a retweet or I comment underneath your post. That means all of my audience now then sees your tweet or my engagement with your tweet. Okay. Which now brings traffic to your page, which now may gain you a few followers. And then you permanently have gained more followers. Okay. So it becomes a game of networking. It becomes a game of meeting the right kinds of people, knowing the right kinds of people, and having them engage with your tweets. And it could, and you know, that's what we tell people to do. So like in our community, it's like, you need to be talking with people and DMing other people every single day. Right. I've met lifelong business partners, and this kind of goes back to what I mentioned with Mr. Beast, right? Mr. Beast said he had a small circle of friends that he talked to every single day. They didn't have millions of followers at the time. They might have had 50, 100, 2,000, right? So back when I was starting my account, I was in an inner circle with people like, JK Melina Danko, Aaron Will, all of these content creators who have hundreds of thousands of followers these days. And we all grew together because we were all up to date, sharing this all kind of information with each other, organically engaging with our tweets through each other. And that meant our message was shared between other audiences as well. So it's really not as hard as people think it is, right? Like if you focus on networking, you will be successful. Like if you in everything in life, really. And by the way, I hate the term network.
Your network is your net worth.
Yeah, your network is, I hate that term too. But I actually want to call it, I actually want to say like, as long as you focus on making friends, this is what I do. Some people go like, AOP, how do you show up every day? I've been on doing this for 4 years, man. It's so easy for me to do. Why? Because I wake up with one intention. I really actually truly honestly have one goal every single day. It's to have as much fun as possible. I love going on social media. I love hosting spaces. I love picking up my phone and having thousands and thousands of people attend our spaces. I love talking with our community. I love talking with my clients. I love getting on calls, and I love doing podcasts too. None of this feels like work because it's not work. Okay. I've done real work in life. Okay. This is not work. What we do every single day is like Christmas Day. Okay. It really is. All right. This is a gift every single day. So me going out there and have fun and with my audience, it is a blast, and therefore it grows quicker, and therefore we have more followers, and therefore our communities grow, and we just focus on having fun, right? The more you focus on having fun and making friends, right? If I don't show up, I consider so many people that I know on this platform my friends. If I don't show up every single day, I feel like I'm missing out, right? It's like I rewired the world to be like, man, if I don't engage with the world and if I don't get it out there in the world, I feel like I'm missing out. So that's the way that you need to think about building.
So one of the things I think about on social media is it's a tool, and you need to know what the tool is and how to use it to get the most out of it. And so many people just, you always make fun of, the grandparents who just post cat videos or something on social media. That's not the point of the tool. But there's a lot of people who have been programmed as consumers and do this doom scrolling. Like, how do you, or what advice would you have for them? How do you stop that doom scrolling? Because I think that's they're fearful of, is that they'll get on these social media platforms, and the next thing you know, an hour of your life has been sucked.
I would say the first thing that you need to do is you need to get in the masterclass community, because we'll kick your butt in the gear and tell you to stop doom scrolling, and we'll be those people that are in your ear telling you what a bum you are, right? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, look, you got to get your act together and you need to start creating. Okay, every single person who comes into my community, they get the 11 commandments of masterclass. Okay, and number one is thou shall be conscious of what they consume. Right. So you're not sitting there and doom scrolling. Every single person is trained to think like, hey, we are going to do things the right way. We're going to be doing because that's what our community is about. That's what we do. So you need to be surrounded by the right kinds of people first. Like, let's say you wanted to make some gains in the gym or work out or get better at tennis or get better at like whatever you're doing, right? The best way to do it is to have a partner, a workout partner, somebody that you're going to be showing up every single day with. Then you're going to be less likely to fail along the way. Right. So that's the whole part. Like, we all think a certain way. We all act a certain way. We all do a certain way. And like, if one of our brothers is like falling out, like, and they're just doom scrolling and, posting political hot takes all day long just for no reason, then maybe we'll get them back in line, unless they have a reason to do it, So that's the whole part about it. So like, you need to think like, yeah, the doom scroll thing is This is the other thing that you need to learn is like, once you understand how social media works, you will look at all media differently forever. So I know the news is fake. Okay. Like I know the news is fake. It's fake. Okay. Because I'm on social media all day and I understand how stories, or I study social media for a living. So I know when something is organic, when it's blowing up organically, when this person really has like a real following. I can tell when they're using bots or when they're using this, because I've looked at all of this stuff for a long time. And I can tell you that most of the stuff that you're like told on the TV, it's inorganically built on social media, and which I can tell you is they're trying to make you think a certain way because of it. Okay. So once you understand, like, there's trillions of dollars spent by some of the most brilliant people in this world to make you think a certain way, you're going to pay less attention to it. And then you're going to focus more on what your purpose is and what you're doing in life.
I love it. Yeah. Like I said, I wanted to be more intentional. One of my friends, Nate Spearing, he was in the class before me. He told me all about it. I said, this is going to help me be more intentional with my life. I've gotten a significant value out of it. We understand the power of community here at Classical Conversations and on our podcast that, life can be difficult, and it's a lot easier to do hard things when you have accountability partners. I just loved, the first couple of days in the class is like, man, we're just getting roasted on our profiles because, our profiles were just so terrible when they first got started. And that's one of the, that's kind of what I tell people. Like, if you go to a restaurant, it could be delicious food, but if it's, not manicured outside and, the awning's falling off, you're not going to just drive by and go check them out and go eat there. I mean, maybe if a friend told you like that's the best steaks in town, you might still duck your head in, one time to see if they're right. But I mean, all of these things matter, and when you know how to use the tool right, it's great. But it does, I think, I was an industrial engineer, and while I was doing that, I knew I needed to have sales skills. So I purposefully found jobs where I would be a kind of a traveling salesman for 2 summers, because I wanted to build those sales skills and that networking, because I knew that would give me a leg up on other people. So I was very intentional with that decision. On X, you can be very intentional if you know what to do and if you know how to use the tool right. And that's why a masterclass community with the art of purpose is such a powerful way. So just for those who might be interested in learning more, like, how do they connect with you? What are some ways to engage with your content, find out more about those classes you have to offer? I know there's a writing class later this summer. Just give us kind of the rundown on all of these things that you offer.
Go to the handle at Creation247 on X, The Art of Purpose. Give us a follow. And if you just click the link in the bio, it's masterclass247.com. Take you right to our community. That's where we're inside of there. People ask me all the time, should I get a course? Should I join the community? What you should do first is check out the community. And if you love the community and you're really into it, and there's tons of resources in there, by the way, right? There's literally thousands of hours of research. I think people don't understand how much is inside the community. Like, there's thousands of hours of research.
I just stumbled upon it today. So I was looking at it
today. I think you were asking me like, where's the, and because I think there's even people in the community that don't understand like the treasure trove of research. There are so many free courses, mini courses, guides inside of our library. It's all of our stuff that we've done together with webinars with some of the biggest names on X, showing you exactly what to do. Like, there's no guesswork involved. And on top of that, there's an active Discord server of over 500 members inside of there sharing what we're doing every single day, what's going on the platform. We're sharing what's working, what's not working. And there's a support community to talk with every day on top of the thousands of hours of resources and the calls that we do. There's pretty much a call, I think, about 3 or 4 times per month, either with some big names. I myself, we do those calls where I'll even personally take a look at your profile, give you feedback. It's all about being active. And that's what we are. Every day we're on there and we're creating 24/7. And if you like that, then you can join one of our cohorts that we have. I know that you joined one of those. And then we have like a writing class this summer. But first, check out the community. If you dig it, hop on in, join us. I'd love to have you there. If you have any questions about it, you can always DM me. My DMs are always open. DM me, ask me any questions about anything that you had. Did you learn something from today? Do you have a question? You want to follow up with me about something? Ask a question. Ask about our community. I'm here to talk to anyone.
Yeah, well, absolutely. Thank you, Dino. You're a wonderful guest, and I've learned a lot from you about being more intentional and just engaging with culture in a way that I hope to spread the gospel more effectively and just the benefits of a classical Christian homeschooling community as well. Of course, we'll put all these links in the show notes, and yeah, be sure to follow myself on X, The Robert B Show. Go follow Create 24/7. The Art of Purpose as well. Go leave some comments. I'm sure we'll turn this episode into a thread and some videos as well. So, Dino, thank you so much for your time today. I know it's valuable, and I've learned a whole lot from you, and I know our audience has as well today.
Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you having me on, buddy.
All right, everyone, have a blessed day, and until next time, keep sharing these episodes with friends, and subscribe and give us a follow.
Thank you for listening to Refining Rhetoric with Robert Bortons. Want more? Make sure to subscribe so you won't miss an episode. You can also follow us on social media to continue the conversation, and visit classicalconversations.com/rhetoric to find out how you can join a local homeschool community.